What is going on, everybody? It is Mike Charlotte once again coming at you on my website, MikeJC on Wrestling.com. And today I'm going to be discussing this weekend's WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view, or as they're calling it, the horror show at Extreme Rules. And I will be going into all the matches and breaking down all of the matches and giving my thoughts on who I think should win and probably will. And just before that, I just want to talk about all the things that are going on right now. New Japan is back. If you've been following my site, you see my articles that I've written over the span of the New Japan Cup, which was brought back. Evil is the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion and Intercontinental Champion after turning on Tetsuya Naito and joining the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club is evil, and this is a very interesting time in wrestling, as we all know, with what's going on in the world right now, and New Japan coming out hot with something different, and I like it. It's not who I would have expected. I was on the Sonata train. I thought Sonata was going to be the guy that would break out of LIJ before Evil. I would have even said Hiromu would have gone before him. Hiromu and Sonata were the guys that I have that I think are going to break out of that group, and Evil was not the guy that I expected, but I like him. I like LIJ as a whole, as an entity. LIJ is a great group, and if somebody's going to break out and feud with Tetsuya Naito, Evil, like I said, if it's not Sonata, I think Evil is perfect for that. And going into their next show, Hiromu Takahashi is going to face Evil for both belts, and that should be an interesting match. I think I'm very intrigued about where this is going, what this means for LIJ, what this means for Bullet Club, because as of right now, we can't get anybody to travel to Japan with what's going on in the world. So what does Jay White think about this? What does Tama Tonga think about this? This kind of feels like something in kayfabe, in storyline that Gedo put together, and Jay White might not be on board with this in storyline. We don't know. We have no idea. I'm very intrigued about that. I'm a huge Bullet Club fan, always have been, and I think it's been kind of at a standstill ever since the Elite left, and people were kind of starting to sour on the Bullet Club. I mean, the Jay White era has not been amazing. Yes, he got a world title, but he lost it pretty quickly to Okada, of course. So I'm just very intrigued about where all of that is going and what's going to happen there. But also in the news, at time of recording, the clock has struck midnight on all of the April releases in WWE, and now all of those guys can sign wherever they want, and coming out hot at the stroke of midnight, Gallows and Anderson did a tell-all, told us where they were going, what the plan was, and they also kind of went in depth about things that happened at WWE that were rumored, and Paul Heyman, not their favorite person right now, for sure, but they are going to Impact, and Impact Slammiversary is also happening this weekend, and I'm actually very interested in that show for many reasons, because there's going to be other people that are going to show up there, I'm sure. But Gallows and Anderson going to Impact with the option of also working for New Japan once they're able to travel to Japan, which is what I kind of expected. But if you did not watch their tell-all podcast on their YouTube channel, I highly recommend that, because it was very entertaining and very insightful, very informative. Like I said, I learned some things that I did not know, obviously, because I don't work there. So I definitely think if you are a fan of these guys, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, Doc Gallows now, you should watch this and get their take on everything that happened. But yeah, I will definitely be watching Slammiversary as well. So, moving right along, I just wanted to talk a little about what was going on outside of WWE. But let's get right into the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And as they're calling it, the horror show at Extreme Rules. And I am, right off the bat, I am not a fan of this marketing. I haven't been a fan of WWE's marketing in quite a while, with the whole greatest match ever, with the whole the Money in the Bank marketing, which all of it, it's been bad. It's been very, very bad, and it continues here. They're calling it the horror show for probably for multiple reasons, but I think the main reason is because of Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. But there's a few things going on this card that I guess can give more to that marketing. I just don't like it. I don't like these attempts at throwing slogans down our throats and these marketing ploys to get people to Google things. And I get it. I like when they did Greatest Wrestling Match Ever, the whole point of that, and people can deny it, but the whole point of that was because if somebody Googles Greatest Wrestling Match Ever, it'll bring them straight to Backlash. And I'm just not a fan of that. But, so we're going to discuss all of the matches on this card. And, as of this moment, there's no pre-show match announced. I'm sure they'll announce something day of or sometime today. But as of right now, there's 7 matches announced. And, I'm very, very interested in a few of them for a slew of reasons, but let's get right along and start talking about these matches. And the first match I'm going to discuss is the United States Championship being defended. The champion, Apollo Crews, defending against MVP. This match, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. MVP isn't winning, but the storyline going in, I actually haven't hated. For a long time, Apollo Crews was very, very underutilized, to the point where he was never on TV, and all he was doing was being a smiley baby face and getting beat up. And he finally got his shot in this weird era that we're in, but he finally got his shot. And I'm very happy for him. People argued for a long time that he was not in NXT long enough, and that's probably true. Even he would probably tell you that. And I really hope that this is going to lead to something big for him. Since he won the title, MVP's been trying to recruit him MVP now managing Bobby Lashley. It seems like he's trying to get a stable together. And Apollo Crews has not been on board with that, to the point where it turned into MVP and Bobby Lashley going after him. MVP beating him in a tag match, which resulted in him getting this title opportunity. And I believe he also beat him in a singles match thanks to distraction from Bobby Lashley. Since MVP came back, and I've always been a fan of his, but at this point, he's not needed to work in the ring. I get what they're probably going for here. But either way, this won't be a bad match. Apollo Crews is a great worker, and MVP can still go. Apollo's definitely going to win, and I'm curious about where it's going to go from there, because I mean, I've been saying from the beginning, even before Apollo Crews won the belt, that MVP should be managing him, and he should be doing like a cocky heel persona, where he still kind of is being that smiley baby face, but he's coming off as cocky because nobody can do what he can do, kind of thing. And I've been saying for a while that that's what he should be doing. So I mean, this storyline doesn't really seem like it'll go in that direction, but I feel like it should. I mean, and for a while, like and this was just me, I don't know if anybody else thought this, but my idea of for MVP was for him to be like a sports agent type manager, and to manage guys that were very athletic, like Apollo, and like Ricochet, and like Cedric, and to be that cocky group that are like, oh, like nobody can do what we could do because we're that good, kind of thing, coming off as cocky, kind of like how Sammy Guevara was at first in AEW. Like, he would come off as like trying to be like apologetic and like whatever, but he would come off as cocky. These guys, like, that was my thing, that my ideal role for guys like Apollo and Ricochet and Cedric, who at the time were all doing nothing. But I'm pretty sure that Apollo's going to win here. I don't know if this leads to a match with Bobby Lashley. I don't know if Bobby Lashley goes on to something else. They've been keeping Bobby Lashley strong for quite a while, ever since he lost to Drew, and I don't know what the plan is. Obviously, SummerSlam is next, and you would think if they're keeping him strong for this long, it could either be U.S. title match with Apollo or something else. But I think Apollo will win here. I think it shouldn't be a bad match, and like I said, MVP could still go. I just don't believe that he should be wrestling as much as he has been since he came back. He should be sticking to the manager role. So moving on to the next match, and this match was just made official tonight at time of recording. It is the New Day, Big E and Kofi Kingston, defending the Smackdown Tag Team Championship against Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, there's been talk that this was supposed to be New Day versus Forgotten Sons. And we all know by now the backlash that Jackson Riker received for a tweet supporting our president, and it didn't go over well with fans, it didn't go over well with the locker room, and ever since that happened, the Forgotten Sons have disappeared from TV. And obviously that's not very fair to Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake. Even they kind of deflected on this whole deal. But in turn, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura got the opportunity. And, I mean, nobody has been a bigger advocate for Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura than me. I believe that both of them should be having huge single runs by now. Cesaro has been tremendously overlooked ever since he came to WWE. And yes, I know early on he got some U.S. title runs, and he's had some big tag team runs with Tyson Kidd, with Sheamus, and now with Shinsuke. But he should be at the top. He should be with guys like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens as top talents because he's that good. If you have ever listened to the New Day's podcast, the New Day put over Cesaro as possibly the best guy that they've ever worked with because of how good he is. And I think a lot of people have known how good Cesaro is, but just because we know that doesn't mean that management will do it. And I want to put Shinsuke in the same boat, but at least Shinsuke has had title opportunities. The problem with Shinsuke is a team of writers that don't know what to do with him, and that's on everybody. Shinsuke I consider Shinsuke Nakamura a once in a lifetime talent, and the way he has been used ever since he came to the main roster is ridiculous. I mean, really, it started after WrestleMania 34. Because he won the Royal Rumble, but lost to AJ, and then did the heel turn, which I thought was the wrong move. And it's just hasn't gotten better for him. He hasn't done anything of note, anything worth talking about, really. They started this group with him and Sami Zayn and Cesaro, and now Sami Zayn's off TV for the time being. And it's just, I want these guys to do something big. These guys deserve it. And I mean, yes, it's another tag team title for Cesaro, but it's something. And the past couple of weeks, New Day has lost a couple of times to Cesaro. And I mean, Cesaro and Shinsuke, and I've said in the past, I hate champions losing non-title matches leading to rematches for the title, because they kind of just write themselves at that point. And they did it again with this number one contenders, well, not number one contenders, winner picks the stipulation match. Cesaro got the win, and Cesaro and Shinsuke picked the tables match. That is a prime example of classic WWE 50-50 booking. Cesaro gets the win, picks the stipulation, and then him and Shinsuke lose the title match. And that's probably what's going to happen here. And I hate that fact. I hate that I can just automatically think that and then it'll probably happen. I hate that. But it is what it is. I mean, the New Day, we all know how good the New Day are. And to be honest, if they lost the tag titles, it wouldn't be the end of the world. They are probably the longest tenured group in WWE in the longest time, possibly ever. Longest tenured of consecutive years, at least. They've been together for 6 years. They've accumulated 8 tag team titles as a group, and got Kofi a WWE championship. They are bona fide Hall of Famers for this run alone. So I don't think it would be the end of the world if they lost the titles to Cesaro and Shinsuke, who need something, who deserve something. And I'm sure that the New Day could probably attest to that, would probably agree with me. this match is a tables match because that's the match that Cesaro and Shinsuke picked. In recent weeks, we have seen these two teams get into a brawl, and Cesaro and Shinsuke using tables in those brawls. And like I said earlier, it seems very likely that the New Day will retain here because Cesaro and Shinsuke got the chance to pick the stipulation. WWE loves to 50-50 book everything for some stupid reason, and it just seems like that's where it's going, and I hate it. I hate it a lot, but that's WWE for you right now. That's WWE. So New Day will most likely retain, and I can't stand it. And again, it's nothing against New Day. I love New Day. But I hate the fact that this is it's that predictable. And that's what I hate. I don't hate New Day. I hate the fact that this is that predictable. So moving on to the next match. And the next match I'm going to discuss is a match that is not for the Universal Championship, so I don't need to treat it as such. It's Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt in a Wyatt swamp fight. Whatever that is. Now, if you've been following the story, the first time that these two faced, which was at Money in the Bank, for the title, Braun Strowman faced Funhouse Bray Wyatt. And now, for some reason, after taking a month off for personal reasons, Bray Wyatt is back, but this time he's back as the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt. Why? Because he needs to go back to his roots to stop Braun Strowman, which doesn't make much sense to me, because for a while they were talking, like, when they first started doing the Firefly Funhouse and doing the Fiend and all of that, they said that the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt was a very bad man, and that he could never go back to being that character and never be that character ever again. But all of a sudden, because Funhouse Bray couldn't get the job done, because Funhouse Bray shouldn't, to be honest, Funhouse Bray should never win. That's my opinion. I feel like if they ever want Bray Wyatt to lose, you have him wrestle as Funhouse Bray. That's just my opinion. That's the way I think it should be done. So now they're bringing back Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt to have a swamp fight. A Wyatt swamp fight. And I've heard a couple of people say this. This is not me speculating. I've heard people speculate this. WWE is promoting a new game. It's called WWE 2K Battlegrounds. It's basically a watered down version of WWE All-Stars. And in that game there is a game mode where you feed your opponent to alligators. And since this is in a swamp, and apparently WWE is using CGI now, we'll get into that later, I have a feeling that we are going to see Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt be eaten by an alligator. And I don't know how I feel about that, because then he's just going to come back as the Fiend, and it's not going to matter. And since this isn't for the title, this match is kind of pointless. So everything that they've done since Backlash to now has kind of been pointless. And that's why I kind of hate this. Because it's very obvious to me, and probably a lot of other people, that once that happens, then the Fiend's going to come back, and the Fiend is going to destroy Braun Strowman. Which, if you think about that, alright. Now this is probably just me, but if you think about that, the Fiend lost to Goldberg, right? But Goldberg lost to Braun Strowman. So shouldn't that automatically in your head make you think, like, if Goldberg can beat the Fiend, shouldn't Braun Strowman be able to beat the Fiend because Braun Strowman beat Goldberg? So why are you going to go into a match, obviously probably at SummerSlam, the third time that these two are facing, but just with Bray with a different persona this time, all three times? How am I supposed to go into that match and believe that the Fiend can beat Braun Strowman when Braun Strowman destroyed Goldberg after Goldberg had destroyed the Fiend, which never should have happened? It's very annoying, and this is part of why I've hated Smackdown. The title picture has been so annoying, and again, this is probably because of what's been going on in the world, and the fact that Roman isn't here has made it a lot worse. And honestly, if you're just going to put the belt back on the Fiend at SummerSlam, you never should have taken it off of him in the first place. Especially since you have no problem letting champions take a month off, which irritates me to no end. But just the fact that this match is not for a title, not for the biggest title on SmackDown, supposedly. This is just a regular match. Why should I care about it? Because you haven't made me care about the story at all. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense to me why I should care about this match. And again, it's just speculation, and it's not even my idea. I've heard this on numerous podcasts. To probably see Bray Wyatt, quote unquote, get eaten by an alligator. It's just, I'm not looking forward to that match, and I think it's going to be bad. Obviously, they'll have the use of editing to make it look good, but I'm just not excited about it at all. So yeah, Braun's probably going to win again, and then when the title is on the line again, Bray will finally get the win, and hopefully this feud will be over forever after that. So moving on to the next match. It's going to be the Smackdown Women's Championship match. Bayley versus Nikki Cross. And I've been saying for a while, I've said it in writings, I've said it on recordings, Bayley and Sasha are the best thing about WWE right now. I would put Asuka in there also, and Drew to an extent, because Drew has been great, but Bayley and Sasha are at the top. I have never, ever been more intrigued, more enthralled, more just loving every part of a certain act. Bayley and Sasha have been amazing since winning the tag titles. Bayley's been SmackDown champ for a while now, and they have just been on point. Everything they're doing has been amazing. And the fact that it's going this long, and for a while we've been saying this needs to lead to Bayley versus Sasha. finally. I don't even think I want that to happen now. And, it's a running joke that save it for SummerSlam, and they've been saying that for 3 years now, but they have never been as good as they are now. And breaking that up just seems wrong. Now, you could make the argument that there's nobody else on SmackDown that could face Bayley for the title that would make us care. Nikki Cross has been great since they finally started using her, put her with Alexa, gave her this innocent but kind of crazy character. I've loved Nikki Cross also. She's been pretty good. But I don't think she's going to win the title here. Now, I could totally see Nikki Cross as a singles champion down the line, but now is not the right time. Because this Bayley run has just been amazing. Now, again, I don't know. Obviously, I don't work there. I don't know what the plans are. But I could totally see something happening down the line, unless they have something planned to keep them together for a while. I could totally see something happening down the line where Bayley keeps her belt, and then they lose the tag titles, and Sasha blames Bayley for that, and it turns into something else, and Bayley and Sasha start to show cracks, and I could totally see that happening. But do I want that to happen? Like I said, Bayley and Sasha are the best thing about WWE right now. Like, bar none. And for a while, Charlotte was on every show, right? And we hated it because it was too much Charlotte. But now Sasha and Bayley are on every show because they have the tag belts. And we love it. And I think the reason is because it's not Charlotte. Because we are so used to Charlotte being that person that just goes everywhere and does everything. And we are annoyed by it now. But now that somebody else is doing that and doing it well and being as good as they are, we are more on board because it's not Charlotte. And I think that's a fair assessment. Because WWE for a long time, and it's still going on to this day, has just put Charlotte in things because she's Charlotte. And right now, even if Charlotte wasn't injured, she still wouldn't be as over as Bayley and Sasha are right now. Bayley, especially, is better than she's ever been. She's arrogant. She's cocky. She's everything that she wasn't 2 years ago. And she's better than she's ever been. And I never want to see her be used the way she was in 2018 because that almost ruined her career. And the way she is now and the way she's been working has just been perfect. She's been one of the shining stars of this quarantine era of wrestling. Just everything about her in-ring work, her character work. I can't say enough about how good Bayley has been. And I hope that continues. And I bet this will be a hell of a match. Because Nikki Cross is a great worker also. And Bayley is an amazing wrestler. And I hope people realize that now. Because I remember hearing for a while, when Bayley was a face, that people were not impressed with her work. And it always flabbergasted me. because Bayley is amazing, especially now. So I expect Bayley to retain here. So moving on to the next match, and I'm gonna, I guess, go right into the other Women's Championship match, the Raw Women's Championship match, with Asuka, the champion, defending against Sasha Banks. And oh man, where do I begin? I hate the WWE trope of having title rivals who are in championship rivalries having matches like in tag matches before the championship match. Because, especially in this match, Asuka versus Sasha Banks is a big match. It's a match we haven't seen a billion times. I think they've only faced each other like twice ever in singles. And I think that it should have been treated as such. But instead, the entire build to this match has seen them in mixed tag matches and other tag matches with other women, like just tonight, for example, on Smackdown. Bayley and Sasha versus Asuka and Nikki. Contenders versus champions or whatever. And I hate that. I hate it. Keep the match special. Make it special and don't have them wrestle each other. Sure, they can have a brawl here and there, but there's so much you could do, especially with the character work of both women. Asuka is better than she's ever been. Sasha is on the top of her game right now. Why do they have to have matches before the title match and make it less special? Because now I've seen them wrestle each other like 3 times leading up to this match in tag matches or whatever, and I don't care as much anymore. If they hadn't had a match at all, I'd be super hyped for this match, and I'm sure it's going to be great, because Asuka and Sasha are both great workers, great performers, great wrestlers. They're all-around talents, and this deserves to be treated as a marquee match. I just hated how they have handled the lead up to it. I'm actually very back and forth on what's going to happen, because the prospect of Sasha and Bayley having every championship seems like it's too good to pass up. But Asuka has been so good that it would be kind of criminal to take the belt off of her right now. And I'm very back and forth about what should happen here. It's very possible, and again, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they are still planning to do Bayley versus Sasha, but if they are, then it's very possible that Sasha loses because of Bayley. And not on purpose, but then the cracks will start, and then things will happen that will lead us to the match finally happening at SummerSlam, like them losing the tag titles, and Sasha getting jealous, and they've already kind of started showing cracks, but not really, of like them volunteering each other for matches. And I've kind of not liked that part of the story. I think that this match has the potential to be the best match on the entire card. And Sasha, I think I would want to see Sasha and Bayley have every championship. I'm not going to lie. I think I would enjoy the hell out of that, because they would not shut up if that happened. They would be so unbearable. Not to me, because I love everything that they're doing, but so unbearable to certain people that just the fact that they have every championship, and there could be a screwy finish. It doesn't have to be a clean finish, but if Sasha won this match and they have every belt, it could lead to something huge. I don't know what, but it could also lead to possibly them breaking up, and not on purpose, because Sasha will have the Raw title and Bayley will have the SmackDown title, but if they lose the tag titles, then Bayley's on Raw now. I mean, Sasha's on Raw now, not Bayley. And I don't know if that would still consider her a SmackDown superstar and she would just go back after she loses it. But maybe that's something that they could consider doing. I don't know. That's why I'm very back and forth on this. This is the match I'm the most unsure about. Yeah, so I don't even want to pick somebody for this match, but I think I'm gonna pick Sasha, and I could expect. Like I said, I probably will. I expect a screwy finish. I just think it's too good not to put every belt on Sasha and Bayley right now. I think that would be a hell of a thing, and a hell of an entertaining thing. So I'm gonna move on to the next match, the match that's kind of been built as a main event, and this has kind of been a very weird story, but I'm intrigued. It's Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in a eye for an eye match, and the rules state that the match can only be won when one competitor extracts an eye from their opponent. And they have made this very clear on television numerous times since it was announced. And there's been speculation that this could be a cinematic, like the Swamp match, or something to that effect, and that they might use CGI, or they will use CGI to depict somebody losing an eye. I just don't know how to feel about this. I want to see what's going to happen. Because what does it, like, where does it lead? And I don't think Rey Mysterio is losing, considering they already did an angle where they hurt his other eye, which I actually really enjoyed that angle. But I don't know. And ever since Seth has been doing this Monday Night Messiah character, he hasn't won a lot, and he doesn't need to, because I think the whole point is that he's trying to get people to follow him, and every time, like, he wants people to believe in what he's saying and believe that what he's saying is true, and then him losing all the time could result in those followers not really believing in him anymore. And I think that's an intriguing story down the line. And the way he lost at Money in the Bank and then kind of went on went into a trance of he couldn't believe that he lost, and that he needed to win. And I could see something like that happening again after this, especially if they're going to run with a angle where he loses an eye on TV for the time being. Obviously, it'll be CGI'd and he's not really losing an eye, but in storyline, they'll make it work, and that's why I'm kind of intrigued about it. On the other hand, there has been rumors that Rey Mysterio is working without a contract right now because they can't come to terms on money. And I could totally see WWE kind of doing a thing where they do a storyline or, an angle or something where Rey Mysterio loses both of his eyes and then writing him off TV, because that's such a WWE thing to do. And if Rey Mysterio doesn't come to terms on a new deal, WWE could do that in a heartbeat. And I don't think it's the right move, especially for this storyline. It just seems spiteful for WWE to do that. I mean, if you think about it long term, you're better off having Seth lose here and seeing where that goes, instead of being spiteful and writing Rey off TV because he's kayfabe blind. But like I said, it just seems like a spiteful thing that WWE would absolutely do, especially if they're not coming to terms on money. But I think that Seth needs to lose here because it just makes more sense to see what they do after Seth loses a match like that. It would make more story sense. Long term, it would make more story sense, and that is what I think needs to happen. So, moving on, and like I said, of the announced matches, this is the last match, the main event, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, it probably will be the main event. It's the WWE Championship match, Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler, and as of right now, the stipulation is to be determined, because in storyline, Drew McIntyre was so confident in his ability to beat Dolph Ziggler that he gave Dolph Ziggler the ability to pick the stipulation. And I've heard speculation that this might be a TLC match, which would be interesting. I just have not enjoyed the story going into this one. Dolph Ziggler came over in a quote-unquote trade after AJ Styles was sent back to Smackdown, getting him out of that whole Otis and Mandy deal, which I'm glad that they got rid of him on that one, because his involvement from the beginning was very dumb. The story about this match has been, in my opinion, not good, because the narrative from the beginning has been that Dolph Ziggler saved Drew McIntyre's career, that he pulled him from obscurity and brought him to Monday Night Raw to be the guy that he is now, and that he wouldn't be champion if it wasn't for Dolph Ziggler. And we've seen stories like this before, and every time it is bad. And every time it sounds stupid. And again, I know that a lot of this stuff is done for casual fans who don't know about what Drew McIntyre has been through. I get that. But for fans that do, this storyline makes fans seem like idiots. Because I'm supposed to believe, as a fan who watches everything, I'm supposed to believe that Drew McIntyre, who was in NXT in 2017, I'm supposed to believe that his career was over, and that after he got hurt in NXT, that he wasn't going anywhere and that Dolph Ziggler, of all people, saved him. When we all know he was in NXT. He was going to end up on Raw or SmackDown eventually. So telling me that Dolph Ziggler saved him from obscurity sounds stupid, because it's not true. And again, I understand that you're supposed to suspend your disbelief, and that this was booked for people who don't watch every show, but it's dumb. And WWE needs to stop booking things based on the sole reason that not everybody watches everything. Because most fans do. Most fans who are true wrestling fans who do watch everything and pay attention to everything don't like having their intelligence insulted by storylines like this. And we all know that Dolph Ziggler is losing. Dolph Ziggler's not going to win the title. And I don't have a problem with Dolph Ziggler. I think he's a great performer, a great athlete, one of the best all-around talents that they have. But they haven't made me care about him since 2016. With that whole Miz storyline. Ever since then, they have treated him like just a guy. He's just there to lose to people. And that's what this is. He's just there to lose to Drew. It's a filler feud to get him ready for SummerSlam, whatever he's doing at SummerSlam. And I'm sure the match will be fine. The match will be probably really good, because both of these guys are great at working in the ring. But it's just not believable. None of it is believable. Nobody believes Dolph Ziggler stands a chance. Nobody believes the storyline that they're building around it. Even the thing that they did with Heath Slater. They brought Heath Slater back a week before his no compete was up. And they said that when Drew got released in 2014, that Heath Slater called him every day. But when Heath Slater got released, Drew McIntyre won the belt and didn't call him ever. And that's just another one of those things that WWE does that we know isn't true, and they want sympathy. And it just doesn't work. And then Heath wanted what he deserved, which was a match with the champion, and he lost immediately. And then, of course, Dolph Ziggler berated him for losing and not softening him up for Ziggler. And then Drew made the save. And that was it for Slater. And now his no-compete is up. So he's going to go wherever he goes. But this storyline is bad. This whole thing is just insulting. And like I said, the match will be good, but nobody believes Dolph Ziggler's going to win. It's a placeholder feud for whatever they got for Drew at SummerSlam. And everybody knows that. So yeah, Drew's going to retain. And that's it. That's all the matches. For some reason, Big Show and Randy Orton are having their big unsanctioned match on Raw. We all know where that's going. That's going to result in Randy Orton punting the Big Show and then never seeing him for a while. Jeff Hardy got challenged to a bar fight by Sheamus, and it didn't happen on Smackdown this week, so it's either something that they're not announcing right now and it could happen at Extreme Rules, or it's going to happen on next week's Smackdown. Either way, that's sure going to be entertaining. Notice the sarcasm in my voice. But, yeah, other than that, there's no U.S. title match. No other matches at the moment. I'm sure they'll announce something. There's always something. There's only 7 matches announced, and none of them are on the pre-show yet. But hopefully the show is not bad. And I think I say that too much when I predict these shows. But I hope that it goes over well, and whatever they do with all of these stipulations and these storylines, and I hope it's not horrible. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope everybody is able to enjoy the show. It might not suck. I guess that's the best we could hope for. And thanks for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeJC821. Check out the new design of the website, MikeJCOnWrestling.com. Look out for other things that I plan to do down the line. And that's going to do it for me. Thanks, guys.